We're going to do two more quick examples to kind of figure out, make sure that we understand how these types of problems work. Okay? So, once again, we are working backwards from what we normally are working through. In this problem, it gives us the area, and we have to then find out the radius and the diameter before we can finish with the circumference. The area is equal to the radius times pi. And for these types of problem, it's going to be a lot easier to use the decimal approximation for pi. And so we just have to guess and check what we think the answer should be. And for this problem, I'm going to start with the radius of 10. Okay, it seems like it's going to be a pretty big answer, so I'll start with a pretty big number. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to do the radius times pi, which I'm going to use the decimal approximation. 10 times 10 is 100, and 100 times pi gives me the number 314 square meters, which is too big, so I have to get smaller. So now I'm going to try 9, because I have to get smaller. Let's try a radius of 9 meters. So I'm going to do 9 times pi, once again, decimal approximation. So I get 81 times pi, and I'm closer, but I'm not correct. Okay, so let's go one more lower. Let's go 8. If I do the radius of 8 meters, I do 8 times pi. And would you look at that? I get the correct answer, which means my radius must be 8 meters. So if my radius is 8 meters, that tells me my diameter has to be twice as big, or 16 meters. And that information is enough for me to find the circumference of the circle, because the circumference is equal to the diameter times pi. Our diameter is 16. We do 16 times pi, or the pi approximation, and we get about 50 and 24/100 meters. So in this problem, we were given the area. We guessed the radius until we were able to solve it, and we used that to help us find the rest of the answers. Let's do one more. So this time, the circumference is given to us down here, and we have to then figure out the diameter, because the circumference is equal to the diameter times pi. So I'm going to take a guess of 6. Let's see if that works. So if I do the diameter is equal to 6, then I do 6 times pi, which once again, we're using that decimal approximation. And I get 18 and 84/100 miles, which is not correct, but it is pretty close. So let's try 7. Let's go one bigger. Okay. So I'm going to do the diameter is equal to 7. I do 7 times pi, which, look at that, I got very lucky this time. I actually got it correct. So the diameter has to be 7 miles. This is a giant circle, maybe like a plot of land or something. Okay, maybe it's a town, something like that. So I need to figure out the radius. Well, the radius is half of the diameter, so that is 3.5 miles. And all I have left is the area. Area is equal to radius times pi. So I do 3.5 times 3.5 times our decimal approximation for pi, and I get 38. Let me just erase that and try again. 38 and 465 thousandths area is two-dimensional, so square miles. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. These problems are tricky, but you can absolutely do them if you show your work.